Hello, and thank you for joining me to celebrate Natural Medicine Week for 2024, which is an initiative by the Australian Traditional Medicine Society. And I'm very proud to be an ambassador for the 5th year running. So I've got a few other blogs and webinars and that sort of thing up on the ATMS Natural Medicine Week page and also on my YouTube. So you can always go and check out some of my other things. But tonight I'm going to be talking about what kinesiology is and how does it work. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. This one. Let me go to here. And one second and having all sorts of technical difficulties tonight. All right, let's go back to Zoom. Wow. Okay, let's try again. Right, that works much better. Okay, so a little bit about me, apart from not being able to use technology tonight. But my name is Alice, and I've been a kinesiologist for 10 years this week, actually. I opened my business on the 20th of May, 2014. So I'm a wife and a mother of 2 teenagers. I've got a 19-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. And my son was actually the person who led me to kinesiology. I had no idea what it was before he needed to see one. And once I saw it work, and of course, I wanted to learn more about how it worked because I didn't understand how this kinesiology thing worked either. And that was actually how I found what I wanted to do. So I've had a background in corporate. I've worked for a major hearing aid company, a major pharmaceuticals company, and McDonald's in their logistics area. I've also got a bit of a small business background, which came in handy when it came to running my own business for DeLonghi, setting up demonstrations and that sort of thing for them. And once upon a time, I honestly did not believe in this natural therapies rubbish. I actually had to be shown it many times before I realized that it was actually a very useful thing, bit of a slow learner there. So when I was young, I wanted to be a lawyer. I have no desire to be a lawyer now, that is for sure. And I've been a lifelong learner. I've always been studying or learning something. And as I said, I've been doing this for 10 years now. Okay, so what is kinesiology? That's what we're here to learn tonight. In Australia, typically when you'll Google kinesiology, you'll get a lot of search results around K-tape. We actually don't do K-tape at all. So in America, kinesiology typically looks like exercise physiology, a bit of physiotherapy, those types of therapies. However, there are kinesiologists in our version of what kinesiology is in America as well, and over another 100 countries too. So this definition that I've got here is one that actually comes off one of the association's websites, and it's actually the accepted definition by the government of what kinesiology is. So kinesiology is a non-invasive, client-centered, holistic and integrative modality which requires utilizing the skills of muscle monitoring as a verification or biofeedback mechanism for anatomical, physiological and psychological stresses within the person. Clear? I'm guessing not. So that's what I wanted to clear up today. So kinesiology is actually energy plumbing. So just like a plumber, it will help you to get pipes working, get the water flowing through your pipes freely. A kinesiologist helps to ensure that everything flows freely for you within your body, mind, body, and spirit. So like a plumber may use a wrench or a spanner to access problem areas within your pipes, a kinesiologist uses muscle monitoring to access information about your problem areas. A lot of the time, what we actually use is an indicator muscle. And what that does is actually just tap into your body's innate healing wisdom, your body's innate knowledge about what it needs, and to tell us, obviously, what is going on with it. So, the history of kinesiology. There's actually early forms all the way back to ancient Greece that we can see in history. Actually, kinesis is the root word of kinesiology, which makes me always think of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, one of my favorite movies where the root of every word is Greek. I actually went to the Ramses exhibition at the Australian Museum last week, maybe. And I can actually see some early forms of healing modalities there too, or different forms, I should say, of healing modalities there too, which look a little like kinesiology. So I thought that was really cool because we can see it back many thousands of years. We just didn't call it kinesiology back then. So as we understand kinesiology now, it actually originated in about the 60s. Dr. George Goodhart, who was a chiropractor, he actually furthered some early work that we'd been seeing since the 1900s about the connection between weakness or stress in the muscles and dis-ease or patterns of illness in the body. And this particular modality became applied kinesiology, which is still practiced by some chiropractors today. They do it as a little bolt-on to their chiropractic degree. So in the 80s, Richard Art and Charles Krebs. Richard Art did something which I can't remember to do with aviation, and Charles Krebs was actually a scientist until he had a very significant injury, and kinesiology was what helped him recover. So they both made significant advances in applied kinesiology, which then morphed into Touch for Health, which is I guess, the original form of kinesiology, and as we call it, true kinesiology now. And now we have over 25 types of kinesiology, which is one of the most misunderstood and yet most advanced healing modalities that we have. So how does it work? So let's pull apart this definition of kinesiology again. So non-invasive, that means we stay outside your body. We don't go inside with anything. Client-centered, your body's telling us the information. So with this muscle monitoring thing, we're asking the body questions and asking us to show us what it needs, which I'm going to explain a little bit further soon. But because of that, it is literally client-centered. You're telling me what we need to know, not the other way around. And it's integrative. We look at everything, head to foot, inside out, history, emotional, physical, energetic. We look at it all. So muscle monitoring is how we access the information in your body. So when we talk about biofeedback mechanisms, it's basically this mechanism. When something is stressful to your body, it sends a signal to your brain basically saying, I'm going to tear, because it's obviously a muscle. And then the brain goes, well, let it go then. And the muscle goes, and therefore it goes down. So when we say something like, for example, a lie, like my name is Mary, that automatically causes stress to my body because it's not true for me. It's not right for me. Whereas by saying my name is Alice, my arm just stays put, because that is something that is not stressful to me because I know my name is Alice. So that's the muscle monitoring. Anatomical, physiological, psychological, big words for mind, body, and how it functions. Plus, we also look at the energetic body as well. So the way that I describe that, you kind of, when someone's kind of almost touching you, or someone's standing right behind you and you just know they're there, that's actually your energetic body picking things up. So we do look at that as well. And holistic, that means we're looking at it all: mind, body, spirit, inside, outside, up and down, back to front, history to now. Okay, so how does it work with the muscle monitoring is the next question. So, or what does a kinesiology session look like as well? So I do ask a lot of questions for those people who've been to see me. I ask lots of questions, and it's we do some counselling as well. We are not counsellors, but we do an element of counselling within what we're doing. So we want to know obviously what we're working on, so why you came to see us, which we'll get to later as well. How is that showing up physically, emotionally, any signs and symptoms that your body is showing? And then we're also looking for what are the drivers. Sometimes you know that, sometimes you don't, and that's what the muscle monitoring is all about. We also look at things through the lens of Chinese medicine. A lot of us, not all kinesiologists do this, but a lot of us do. So we're looking for patterns of imbalance with particular meridians or energy channels in the body. So once we've asked all the questions and we're clear about what we want to work on, the goal that we have perhaps, or the issue that we want to resolve, that's when we'll start actually using the muscle monitoring and also some energy work. I always use energy work to activate all aspects of the problem. So, and we'll actually use the same sorts of things for corrections as well. So we'll look at chakras, which are energy centers throughout the body. To help your energy flow around your body, your actual energy field around your body. We'll use acupressure, which is like acupuncture, but without needles. Remember, we're non-invasive. So we actually usually hold acupressure points and ask questions about those. Now, acupressure points, there's 365 of them in the body. They all mean something different. There's 14 actually, because 2 run through the middle, energy channels in the body, and they all have the little pressure points along them, and each one of those just means something different. So that's another way that we access information. We use the body's muscles. So there's a really famous book which is called The Body Keeps the Score. And there's actually a couple of other really cool books around this as well. But basically, the concept here is that we're not just heads and brains, right? We're a whole being, and so things can actually get stored up in our body. The things that you squash down that you don't quite know what to deal with, or things that you didn't even realize were a stress, but your body's just sort of hanging on to it. So that also represents in the muscles as well, because the muscles also map to these channels, which map to particular signs and symptoms. There's lots and lots of stuff behind this. So we'll look at muscles to see whether they're able to hold their strength, and that will also then show up as a stress if it's not able to hold it, if it's related to what's going on for you. We use tiny little vials that have tiny bits of whatever it says is on the front of the vial. So I've got things for food additives, nutrition, so vitamins and minerals. I've got viruses and parasites and allergy things and environmental stress, and there's thousands and thousands of them. So we can also use those on your body to ask the stress. So basically what I would do with that is just put the little vial on your body and then ask your body whether that's related to what's going on for you. So an example could be if you are allergic to dogs. So I have a little vial for dog hair. And if that's related to, obviously, if you're allergic to dogs, you're usually getting some sort of hay fever type symptoms, which might have been why you came to see me. So I'll ask about whether dog hair is part of the problem there, which obviously it is. So that'll show stress, and then I can put that into your circuit, which is basically your energy. And what we're doing with all this information is just stacking the information. So I'll keep going with the allergy examples. So that's obviously affecting your nose and usually your throat and your sinus and that sort of stuff. So ask your body about that. Then I'll ask about the particular meridians that belong to that. I might ask about the vial to ensure that we're looking at dog hair, those sorts of things. So we keep stacking the stress into the body, I guess. We can use sound. Sometimes sound isn't part of the aspect of the problem. Crystals, Crystals are awesome. They all have their own little healing ability. So we can use those to help work with the body in different ways as well. We'll ask about emotions that are related to the problem, any felt sense things. So again, with an allergy, obviously you're going to get itchings, tingling, inflammation, all of those sorts of things. And sometimes we'll actually look at visualization in this regard. So what happens when you see a dog? I feel that come up straight away. So that's your body response, even though you're not in allergy range, if that makes sense. So look, I've used bread, I've used fur, I've used feathers, grass, words on paper. I've actually had one client who was allergic to water, one of very few clients in the country, people in the country, not just clients, but people in the country allergic to water. So I've even used water to work with them. So basically what we're doing is just using all sorts of bits and pieces to keep asking questions of the body. What is stressful in relation to what we're working on? And then we're asking the body, what does it need to solve its problem? And it will, again, will be any and all of these things. So for example, if I am using fur on someone, that's obviously always sealed up, but I might put that on the body and leave it there while I'm working with it. I might use crystals and leave them on the body while I'm working on particular things. I will always be using acupressure points, some energy work, and maybe working through repatterning of emotions, repatterning of felt senses, even different types of visualizations, because basically what we're doing is looking at this is a problem and how do we redefine the problem so that the body doesn't see it as a problem anymore. Okay, and what I always do with people is give them what we call home play, homework, if you would like to call it that. But basically, when we have, most of the time when we have a problem, we are contributing to it in some way. So what I do is identify any driving patterns that you might be doing at home that are contributing to this problem and give you something different to try. So for example, anxiety is a really good one. So people with anxiety usually don't breathe very well. So I'll actually get people to practice different breathing exercises. People who get very stressed about things, very angry stressed, I might actually ask them to stop, take a deep breath, ask a particular question, and then move on so that we can start to repattern the way that your body normally does things. So that's the basic concept of how a kinesiology session works. Okay, what does it help with? Now, I've actually taken this from the Australian Kinesiology Association website. I have fiddled with it a little, but basically I gave you a really long list here, but what I'm basically saying here is that kinesiology can help with, to some degree, with anything and everything. It's not to say that kinesiology will cure all things, but what it does is actually help your body to facilitate its own healing. So your body's telling us what we need to know, and your body is telling us what it needs to actually solve its problem. And the belief behind this is that given the right conditions, the body can heal from anything. But we do not claim to treat or cure at all. So let's have a look through this list. We've got addictions, we've got allergies, which I've talked about, anxieties and fears and phobias, impaired athletic performance, as well as all other types of performances. I work with a lot of dancers as well. Autoimmune issues, cardiovascular issues, concentration, learning, behavior, depression, mental health, detoxing and nutritional support, digestive issues, learning disorders, skin issues, environmental toxicities. Kinesiology can actually be very helpful at identifying those. One thing that I do need to say about the little vials that we use to test with, it is not diagnostic, it is information gathering only. So when we put a vial on you and you show stress to it, does it mean you're allergic? No, it just means that that is showing stress for us right at the moment. So it's very important for people to know that. I work with hormonal imbalances and fatigue, immune system issues, which we're seeing a lot at the moment. And then into things which are a little bit different, like limiting beliefs, goal setting, boosting confidence, personal development, those sorts of things. Works on, physical pain, reproductive health, sleep, trauma, weight management. And then also, you don't actually need to wait until you have a problem to come and see a kinesiologist. You can actually use it as part of your general health maintenance. Like I was saying with the energy plumber thing, and this applies to, I suppose, things like cars and that sort of stuff. We don't wait for it to break down. We actually do servicing or maintenance to ensure that things keep running smoothly. And this is something that really should apply to your body as well, is looking after it to make sure that it is running as smoothly as it can. Sometimes you don't know what that is, and that's where kinesiology can be helpful to help you to identify where those blocks are in things running smoothly, of course. Okay, so the general questions that kinesiologists get asked about what this kinesiology thing is. So the first one is, what qualifications do kinesiologists have? So kinesiology is an unregulated field in Australia, and as such, that means that you can actually do quite short courses and call yourself a kinesiologist. For kinesiologists who belong to associations like the Australian Kinesiology Association and also the Australian Traditional Medicine Society, you actually do need to have diploma qualifications. So what I do have is a certificate in kinesiology, because 10 years ago that was what was required. I now have a diploma in kinesiology, which I continued on with that anyway, and that's the diploma qualification needed for the associations. I have a diploma in mind-body medicine, which goes alongside kinesiology, because the way that we look at it is kinesiology is part of mind-body medicine. Mind-body medicine is the holistic view of what's going on with the body, and the kinesiology is how we get to the information, if that makes sense. I also have a qualification in advanced diploma in integrative complementary medicine, and I've also done a bunch of other courses as well, but kinesiologists who belong to associations will always have a diploma level, and that's a couple of years of study, which I think is really important to ensure that you do, your kinesiologist does have professional qualifications in order to be able to truly help you and understand what's going on, and refer on to other medical practitioners where required as well. So the next question that gets asked a lot is, what happens after a session of balance? Now, this can be really varied for people. I've had a client come back this week who had an emotional block in relation to relationships in her life, which she didn't recognize. And since that, she's actually said to me, I've had a massive shift. All of these things have changed. I feel amazing, etc., etc. So you can have from that extreme to another client I've had who came back, and I said, oh, what's been different? And they said, well, nothing. And I went, okay, how are the migraines, which is what she come to see me first for. And she goes, what migraines? And so she hadn't even realized that things had changed for her. Sometimes change can be very subtle. Sometimes it can be big things as well. So, but typically what people will say after a session is they feel freer, lighter, relaxed, those sorts of feelings, as opposed to usually when they come in, whatever is stressing them, it is tense and hot and constricted and those sorts of things. So what we are looking for is a change in how you are feeling. Because with all of the things that you would come to a kinesiologist for, honestly, what you're looking to do is to feel better. It actually doesn't matter who you go to see, whether you're going to see a specialist doctor, a chiropractor, a physio, etc. You're looking to feel better. You don't like the way you're feeling and you're looking to feel different. Okay, so the next question is, how many appointments do I need? That question is, how long is a ball of string, really? So you can, I would typically say around 4 to 6 sessions is fairly standard for people. I think you need to give anything a few sessions to ensure you know what it's doing for you. You don't, I guess, you don't learn to drive a car by doing one lesson, would be a good analogy for that. So now for some people, they might come to get a specific problem solved. So they'll come for those 4 to 6 sessions and then they're done. Other people will come and go as things crop up for them throughout life. And then other people do come religiously because of that maintenance thing. It's just part of their self-care. So, you know, with the way that you use kinesiology, that's entirely up to you. So the next question a lot of the time is kinesiology and medical treatment. No, it's a holistic therapy. It's very different to Western medicine. As you can see, we are not diagnosing, we are not treating, we are not curing. What we are doing is helping your body to facilitate its own healing. So what I probably should have done is put another question next, which is, can you see a kinesiologist if you're seeing another health or medical practitioner? Absolutely. We can work with and alongside any other practitioner, or you can come and go as well. So because what we're doing is helping your body to facilitate its healing, so we can actually support all of these therapies really, really well. And honestly, sometimes people come to me because they've been everywhere else. They've seen all the doctors, they've had all the tests, nothing is working for them, or they're being told that nothing is wrong as well. Sometimes that happens because it can't be shown. But again, it comes back to how you feel about things. So yeah, so kinesiology can be before you see other practitioners, while you're seeing other practitioners, or even after you see other practitioners. So it fits into wherever you'd like it to fit into. The next question, are the health fund rebates available? At this point, which is May 2024, no, that is not the case. Rebates were taken away in 2019, and we submitted an appeal for that in October of 2020. As of right now, none of the rebates for any of the natural therapies that were taken away are back. But the Natural Health and Medicine Research Committee assure us that they're going to have this completed by the end of 2024. So stay tuned on that one, and I'll be updating that on my page, and also the Australian Traditional Medicine Society will be as well. So who does kinesiology work on is another question. Anyone? So doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not, because it actually, and this question can be extended into babies and even animals. So because kinesiology works at quite a deep level, I suppose, and because we're using the body's stresses, we're getting below the conscious, below the subconscious, really into that innate wisdom that your body has. So, and that's why it does work on babies and animals who don't have organized belief systems yet. So it will work on anyone. It just depends on how you get in the way of your healing, I suppose. And another question, and this is a new one that's come up for people over the last few years, is how does online kinesiology work? Now, because kinesiology is much an energy therapy as it is a physical therapy, what we can do as kinesiologists is actually tap into your energy basically in a session like this. So what we do, because energy isn't limited by time or space, so what we do is tap into your energy, we do the work, and it transfers to you because of that no limitations in time and space for energy. We do ask you to participate in the sessions. Not everyone does that, but I do. And I might get you to do some of the work on yourself and show you how to do that. So if you're not able to get to a kinesiologist for obviously distance or time or those sorts of reasons, that's another option that is available to you as well. Okay, so let me just see what's going on here. Okay, so that is a brief overview on how kinesiology works and what it's good for and what it is in the first place. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me in any of these ways. I'm on all the socials as kinesiologists. I'm not really that hard to find. And I actually have a clinic based in Bella Vista here in Sydney, just in case you're not based in Sydney. Okay. All right. So let me just... So thank you very much for that. And I am going to stop the recording now. And please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.